Welcome back to another GP Fast Forward. Let me preface this review by saying, I do not like the Strike Freedom Gundam. Its plot armor and beam spamming attacks mock me. But this kit is almost enough to make me change my mind. Opening up the box, there are quite a few runners here, but two of these stood out immediately. These two gold runners are very subtly different. One is pretty close to that pseudo-frost gold we've seen in other iterations of the Strike Freedom, but the other has a slight green undertone and a gloss finish that gives it a vibrant color. Plus, it's UV reactive. The manual for this one is a stapled booklet rather than a foldout, and has detailed descriptions of the mighty strike, some dude, and all of the weapons and armaments. Getting right to the build, this thing is leagues better than the HGCE Strike Freedom. Everything is a completely new sculpt, even the twin beam rifles, and the new seat action system ensures stellar range of motion and firm holds on all the joints. I can even shake the main body with a decent amount of force while holding the center, and the limbs barely budge. Moving on to the articulation, the same shoulder joints found in other Seed Freedom kits is here, featuring a double rotation swing and a ball joint. The upper arms can rotate all the way around, and both the elbows have almost 180 degrees on the bend. The wrist is on a double ball joint that lets you flare the shield armor out and get better reach with the hands as well. The chest is on a 4-way ab crunch that gets decently deep, and the neck can rotate all the way around, though the forward back hinge under the armor can get a little loose, so make sure this armor is pressed down securely. The waist can rotate all the way around, and the side skirt railguns are mounted on a ball joint with about the same range of motion as the Rising Freedoms. For the thigh joint, Bandai ditches the sliding mechanics from the Rising and the Immortal, and instead uses 30-minute sister-style joints that swing out and let the leg get clear of the skirt armor. Full rotation at the thigh here, but the knees don't bend much further than this. The ankles have a 2-direction swing, and just like the Rising and the F91, the ankle armor is on a ball joint that goes right into the ankles. Not as prone at popping out, but still, be careful with these. For accessories, this has the classic slightly resculpted twin beam rifles. They still have their iconic long rifle gimmick as well. The beam sabers come as 2 separate units, or a combined double saber. While I usually advocate for a combining gimmick, the panel lines here show that it definitely wouldn't have been as stable as the Rising Freedoms, which it also shares an iridescent beam shield effect with. The katana is thankfully not just a single piece, and the handle was very fun to panel line. The blade was on its own dedicated runner, and it's molded in a glossy black. It looks alright, but we definitely recommend going over it with a dark metallic marker or Mr. Metal color to make it pop. There's also a separate V-fin to show off the Disruptor's open form, and it's pretty well detailed, but unfortunately unpainted. There are 2 stickers here that fill in the colors, but the contrast between the molded details and the stickers can be a little bit jarring. The final accessory is the backpack, the Proud Defender. At first glance, it looks pretty plain, especially when compared to the Freedom's folding railguns or the Strike Freedom's Dragoons, but the expansion gimmick for the wings to show off these 3D metallic pink stickers is simple but clean. The pegs for this backpack are also spaced the same as many others in the Seed line, so you can swap this for the Risings and even the original Strike Gundams if you'd prefer. Oh, and one last thing. Make sure you clamp the side skirts down tight and maybe cement them together from the top. If they're even the tiniest bit loose, the beam sabers will just keep falling out. Just be careful not to get cement in the railgun hinges. I desperately wanted to find some fatal flaw in this kit, but I only have 2 incredibly lukewarm complaints. The first is that the storage of the rifles on the railguns makes this look way too bulky. As janky as the sliding mechanism was on the original Strike Freedom, it had a much more streamlined look to this. The second is the sticker sheet, but even this is pretty tame since it's mostly eye and camera stickers and the same details that go on the Strike Freedom rifle that we've dealt with in the past. The backpack stickers don't count because those 3D metallics should be the new standard. I hate to admit it, but the mighty Strike Freedom is an incredible model. It honestly would not be much of an exaggeration for me to say that it's the pinnacle of the current HGCE lineup. The posability, the proportions, the accessories, all incredibly solid at around a $30 price point. I'd even build a second one just to kit bash with the amazing Strike Freedom whenever that gets a reprint, because that design deserved a much better model kit. As always, thanks for watching.
Firefly pose rating, 9 out of 10. No Wings of Light, model kit when?